and a new creator on YouTube, Christopher Hobbzilla from the Swamp Report. How you doing tonight, Christopher?
What's up, Carlos? How are you doing, man? I'm doing great.
I'm doing excellent. Let's talk about. You told me over X that we were that you were able to see some of or a lot of the game. What were your first impressions of the orange and blue game yesterday? I mean Saturday. Sorry.
Well, it wasn't a traditional game. The defense was, scoring points by like stopping, Jaden Ball on 4th and 1 and things like that. So it was definitely a different, kind of game. And I kind of wonder if John, he was doing some, you know, dink and dunk type screen passes and things like that. I kind of wonder if he was just, showing the most basic vanilla offense that we could show, to kind of get this thing rolling and just have a good, scrimmage.
Now that you spoke about Coach Sumrall, what were your first impressions about Coach Summerall? He wasn't necessarily the fan base's first hire. There was even a frat that had a sign that changed the name from Gainesville to Lanesville. Um, and unfortunately, it's not Lanesville; it's Summerallville.
Yes.
So, what were
Um,
your first thoughts
well,
when he got hired?
my first thoughts, I mean, as everyone remembers, I was, letting everyone know that the lane train was coming to Gainesville. So, that did, kind of sting a little bit that didn't work out that way. But, once John has got there and showed his, the side of him that he is, I'm excited about it. He's a tough guy. He is the kind of coach that will make the players believe and want to run through walls and things like that for him. And, he's a young coach. So I think that it's all positive stuff. I just want to see how it actually ends up going on the field.
Does he remind you? I've already anointed Coach Summerall Urban 2.0. Does he remind you of the era when Urban took over for Ron Zook? Because Ron Zook was a decent coach, but an amazing recruiter. Kind
Yeah,
of the
kind of
same
like the
thing that we
Billy.
had
Yeah.
with Billy.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, it is definitely, very reminiscent of that. It's just, that's such a high bar that Urban Meyer, set that it makes it, I mean, I don't want to go full on, I like right now, I'm on cruise control with the situation.
Everybody is.
Yeah. I don't have my foot to the gas, like to the pedal, like, hey, this is definitely going to work out. I just want to see how, big test will be Auburn. The first two games, that's not going to be nothing. But then you've got, Byron Brown at, Auburn, with the coach Alex that, beat us, with USF. So, I mean, it's going to be, come down to coaching for that game. And, me personally, I feel like Brown has a leg up on our quarterback. So,
Yeah. Your thoughts on the quarterback battle? I mean, because I've been a strong advocate even when DJ was in Gainesville that Trammell should have gotten a fair shot to be the quarterback. And from what I'm hearing, Trammell seemed to be play a little bit better in the second half because again there wasn't really a second half, but he seemed to be able to command the offense a little bit better than Philo, from what I
yeah.
heard. I don't know if it's true.
From what I saw, maybe he wasn't commanding the offense better, but it seems like the players kind of liked playing with him a little better. And other than that, he just simply did not make the mistakes that Philo did. So that said a lot to me. Trammell, sorry, my bad.
No
Um,
problem.
when you're in these type of you know, games like these spring games and things like that, you want to see separation and the big problem that everyone was having with, number two last year was the interceptions. Well, they're already surfacing, here in the spring game with Philo. So imagine what happens when you throw him in there with Auburn, and, then he gets thrown to Georgia and stuff like that. It's going to be a big thing. So right now, I mean, if I had to choose who looked better that day, I would definitely say that was Tramel Jones.
Are there any concerns that you have in terms of the team? I would personally say I'm worried about tackle.
Yeah, I agree. The offensive line, it looks to be, and I'm not sure that wasn't Phil, and Sumrall being a little strategical about that, like, hey, this isn't a real game, let's just kind of make the offensive line look a little sloppier than, normal, because we're not worrying about if, you know, the sack has the impact of a real game. You're not trying to hurt your quarterback or anything like that. So maybe they wanted people to see a messy looking offensive line. That's the only thing I could think about. But it was, what I did take away from it was some of these players that we've brought in, like Eric Singleton, Evan Pryor, the former Cincinnati Bearcat, Ohio State running back. He actually looked really fast, and Ball only carried the ball like four times, and he was stuffed on 4th and 1. So
Wow.
we got Clark at running back, so. There's just